had fish for dinner last night? Can I see hands? Fish. Today, we can have fish anytime we want. Unlike in those days, when men have to catch just as much fish that they can consume for the day. Otherwise, excess would spoil. Thanks to the wonders of preservation, storage, and refrigeration, lives have changed. Lifestyles have changed. And very soon, you wouldn't be surprised if your refrigerator will send you text messages to your mobile phone and say, "Hey mom, drop by the grocery store. There's no more fish in your freezer." Is that possible? Yes. Or there's a message to your mobile phone which says, "If you want fruits for breakfast tomorrow, better drop by the fruit stand." And you just do it. So the following morning, you wake up, and what do you see on your table? Fruits. Fruits that actually sometimes you don't grow in your country, but they look fresh. They're tasty, they're sweet, and you wonder, these fruits must have traveled, must have crossed vast oceans and seas, yet they are fresh. So what's the magic? Transportation, yes, transportation. And many times, when you talk of transportation and you talk of speed, your airplane is your best friend. I live near an airport, and when I was a very young girl, I would often wonder, why are those planes, many times they pass over my head, why do they stay up there on the air for so long? Well, scientists would know that. They have discovered technologies, and we have adopted it. And we're happy, aren't you? Yes, yes. Because it makes mobility faster. Mobility not just of people, but also of goods. It has changed lives. Now, communication, advances in communication come close to advances in transportation as well. May I know who owns or who does not own a mobile phone here? Oh. No hands are raised. In other words, everyone has a mobile phone. How about a desktop, a laptop? Who owns desktops, laptops, or in any way, yes, I see hands, are connected to the internet? How many of your waking hours do you spend in front of your laptop? How many hours? Too many. You cannot count it anymore, even if you only have 24 hours a day. And therefore, if I ask, where do you live? What's your answer? Maybe I won't be surprised if you tell me that you live, let's say, Mayet Yupitak at ... .com. So, better still if you say, I live at #Facebook.com. Is that quite correct? So, communication there has been changes, and lives have changed. As I said, lifestyles have changed. Who among you here are 50 years old and older? Ayan. Yes, I see one hand only. Anyway, for those who are like me or older than me, you must have received a love letter or two some time ago, right? Yes. Love letters, love notes, carefully written in scented paper, folded and placed inside envelopes and sealed with a kiss. Isn't it? But the younger ones today, do they still get these love letters? Some say yes, some say no. Do you know the friendly neighborhood postman? Or you no longer know what a postman is or how he looks like. He goes around the neighborhood and brings letters, delivers letters to you. But with these communication technologies, automation, digitization, and all these technologies, again, lives have changed. Even relationships have changed. Relationships are built, relationships are sustained and grow. Relationships are even ended just by one wrong send text. Yes, just through a wrong send text. And even a small one-sentence email sent to somebody. So, why these things, why these changes? The reason is innovation. Innovation, new knowledge, new discoveries, new ways of doing things. But where does innovation come from? It comes from basic research. Why do basic research? Some would like, there's just a query in their heads and they want to find the reason or the answer to these queries. They want to know the unknown. Or some would like to extend and expand the boundaries of their disciplines. And therefore, new knowledge, new discoveries, new ways of doing things, these are the outputs of basic research. But it does not stop there. It has to go to applied research, wherein you need more experimentation, you need more clinical trials, you need more lab tests, up to the point when you are able to produce commerciable goods that get into the market, and finally, get into your kitchen, get into your bedrooms, get into your homes, get into the workspaces, the community. So it's all over. And at the end, you see changes in lives. You see changes in lifestyles. Conditions are improved. And also, the way you do things are improved. And many times, or almost all of the times, incomes are increased, employments go up, and then investments as well, and even spending go up. But changing lives through research takes more than just these quantitative metrics and tangible results. Researchers in the social sciences and in the humanities have something to do to change our lives. Through what? Through the strengthening of a social fabric of a certain group of people. Through basic research, like documentaries in history, in music, in culture, heritage, they strengthen the social fabric. They make you feel you are one and you belong to a group. They make you feel that you have this identity and you feel you belong and you are one with them. But research can also change lives because results of research can provide the evidence and the scientific data that will aid policymakers when they make decisions. And call it policy brief, policy notes, policy statements, recommendations, in what other name. The bottom line is, from the research results, we are able to generate alternative solutions to an issue. And your policy brief, for example, is a tool to call action to people who are concerned. One of the things that we have at the NRCP is on lakes. This is actually a picture of Lake Lanao, the second biggest lake in the Philippines and the biggest in the Mindanao area. Lakes are pristine. Lakes could be contaminated and polluted. Lakes can be dying, or some lakes have died. But we don't wait for lakes to be dying or for lakes to die before we protect and conserve the lakes. Lakes as pristine as Lake Lanao, and as early as today, we already have to put in measures for its protection and conservation, especially that people around the lake depend on the lake, on the water resource for livelihood, for their daily consumption, maybe of drinking water, for bathing, for swimming, for tourism, or just for a pleasure because they want to see the lake. Can you imagine looking at the lake, pristine and calm, so that can, in fact, sometimes cleanse our soul? And when we do research, all these things like social carrying capacity, physical characterization, indigenous knowledge, the bioindicators of the lake, whether the water is already polluted, socioeconomics and governance, these are just some of the studies which, when put together, is able to generate a set of policies, a set of data that can guide policymakers. And then, of course, we expect that the lake is conserved, the lake maintains its integrity for future generations. So there is sustainability in the use of our lakes. May I share to you my personal experiences with research? I'm a gender advocate, and this is in cognizance of Sustainable Development Goal number 5, gender equality and women's empowerment. And maybe those from government, how many are from government here? Yes, I see hands. We have a mandate to promote gender equality. So for me, I want to engender the researches that I do. I want to see the situations of men and women, how it differs, what are the differential needs of men and women, what are the differential issues, so that at the end of the day, when I have research results, then what I would know, what are the specific policies and programs that can be dovetailed for men and those that can be dovetailed for women, because I understand that the two, men and women, have different needs. So may I show you some of the things that I've done? So I looked into women and their work in small-scale rock oyster in Mahaba Island in Samar. So maybe some are familiar with this. This is your local sisi. I've looked into fish and squid dryers, the women in Palompon, Leyte, in Tanawan, Leyte, in Tolosa, Leyte, and I've also looked at the squid dryers in Limasawa Island, Southern Leyte. Then there are the seaweed dryers in a small island called Maliwaliw in Salcedo, Samar. And I also went into women's and men's roles in mussel production in Yabong. So what did I see in all of this? Women are marginalized in the sense that women are not paid in many of the economic activities that they do. And the second thing is, there are opportunities open to women, but because of reproductive roles, they are hindered from getting into more paid jobs. So policies and programs can be dovetailed in order to address this situation. So when we do research and we have the results, we need partners. We can't do something alone and claim it's ours and claim we're successful. We need partners. The academe, the industry, because finally they have to produce the goods, the government, and the community, to include civil society, people's organizations. We need them. So aside from these partnerships, we also have to look into how they cooperate, how they synergize their work. Because the challenge actually is research translation. I believe that research and technology will work if and only if people find meaning in it. In other words, research results have to be understood, it has to be appreciated, so that men and women will use the research results in order to improve their lives. So are we taking the challenge? Yes, we have to. Especially those from research institutions, from the academe. So I'm making two calls here. Two calls. One is, we want more innovations. And when we want more innovations, that means we have to increase investments and R&D spending on basic research. As I said earlier, innovations start from basic research. And the second thing is, I appreciate inclusive and shared prosperity. As they say, no one should be left behind. Or the furthest first. Or the marginal, the sector in society has to be served first. And one way to do that is to engender research. So I mentioned this earlier as an approach to make research results more relevant, more socially relevant to men and women. And as we continue to do research, we hope that more innovations will come because research changes lives. I know you have your own experiences, how research have changed lives. But may I propose that if we do research, three things, three elements that we have to consider. Research should be science-based. Research has to be science-based. Number two, research has to be gender responsive. And third, research has to be culturally sensitive in order that we can be more relevant. So am I getting through? Yes, great, and I'm happy. So remember, when we address a problem through research, we craft alternative solutions and bring out great ideas that fuel change and build a nation that is a better place for men and women to live and grow. You want to do more research? Yes, and we want to change lives for the better. Thank you, everyone.